into. There's a kind of loneliness that's deceptive. It doesn't announce itself through empty rooms and silence. It whispers. You're surrounded laughing, talking, making plans, and yet into you feel invisible. Everyone relies on you. You hold people together. But when you break, you already know you'll break alone. You're growing, changing into trying to become something more. But the people around you, they're content still stuck. And when you mention it, they say you've changed. It never sounds like a compliment into, it sounds like an accusation. So you walk an invisible path, no map, no one cheering, no proof this matters. Just you wondering if this is worth it into. Here's what Carl Jung understood that most people don't, that loneliness isn't a mistake in your life. It's a calling. When it feels like you're alone, into you're often being pulled into individuation, that phase where your soul stops caring about fitting into the group and starts caring about who you actually are. That level up into it almost always starts in the darkness, in seasons where you feel misunderstood, unseen, or genuinely alone. But before we go deeper, pause with me into, if you've looked at your life and thought, why am I carrying everything by myself? Why is it me against the world? Type rising in the comments. Just that one word, into. You're not explaining anything. You're whispering to your own soul. It feels lonely, but I'm still choosing to rise and into. And if messages like this keep finding you at exactly the moment you need them, like this video, subscribe. Because your spirit is quietly asking for this, and it will ask again. Into, at the end of this video, there's a playlist. Save it. Tonight when you sleep, let it play softly. Your body will rest. Your subconscious will keep listening. Keep healing. Into, keep choosing you. Now, here's the truth that's harsh but frees you. Most people around you aren't building consciously. They're drifting, reacting, into, repeating what they were taught, what they saw, what they've always done. But you're asking, if I keep living like this, will I like where I end up? Into, that question alone puts you in a different phase. That's why it feels lonely. Jung called this the split. When your deeper, wiser self starts calling you forward, into a crack appears between where your life has been and where your soul wants to go. Friends disappear. Family doesn't understand. Your old coping mechanisms break. Your old role into the nice one, the fixer, the quiet one, the always available one, it starts to shatter. You're not broken. You're transitioning into. And transitions are lonely because you're no longer fully at home in your old life, but you haven't arrived at the new one yet. That in between space into, that's where your level up is actually built. So what does leveling up really mean when you feel like you're doing life alone? It's not about more money, a better body, into, or looking like you have it all figured out, though those things might come. Real leveling up looks like this. Into, you become less dependent on what others think and more anchored in what's true for you. You stop abandoning yourself to stay close to people who don't value you. Into, you let your pain make you deeper, not harder. You live from the inside out instead of just reacting to chaos. And here's the strange part. Into, the pathways to this kind of growth often open when you finally feel most alone, because there's no one left to drown out your inner voice. Think about it. Into, if you had all the approval, all the company, all the constant distraction you wanted, would you be this motivated to change? Would you be here? Most transformations start when something disappears. A relationship ends. The friend group shifts. The family dynamic cracks. The job no longer fits your soul. Suddenly, into, it's just you. You in the silence. You in the mirror. You in the ache. It feels cruel. But Jung would say this is when your true self finally has space to step forward. Into, your alone season isn't evidence you've been abandoned. It's proof that life is calling you into a more authentic version of yourself. So how do you actually move? Into, how do you level up when no one's watching? First shift, you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. We're taught our life begins when someone else picks us. Into, a partner, a group, a boss, a family member. So when those things don't happen, we freeze, we wait. Into, but your level up begins the moment you realize no one can choose your path for you. Someone can love you and still not understand your calling. Into, someone can care about you and still choose to live small while something in you craves more. Someone can be next to you and still not be the support you need. Jung would tell you. Into individuation, a truly unique, soul-aligned life is solitary at its core. Yes, guides will appear, friends will come, but the decision to honor your inner voice, into, that's between you and you alone. Leveling up when you're alone looks like this. You sign up for the course even if no one gets it. You go to therapy. You change your routine, into your diet, your habits, because you chose it, not because anyone pushed you. You become the one who moves first, the one who breaks the pattern first, the one who says, this changes with me. And yes, it feels lonely, especially at first. Moving away from the familiar always feels like losing something. But ask yourself honestly, into, what has staying in the same cycles cost you? how many years did you give to relationships that drained you? Into how many times did you silence your intuition to keep someone else comfortable? How many versions of yourself did you bury to be accepted? Carl Jung said, in the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Most people never cash in that privilege. You're starting to. If something in you is tired of waiting for permission into, if you know the next chapter starts when you choose yourself, like this video, subscribe, you need a place to return to as you keep rising, even when no one sees it. Now, into the practical part. How do you level up emotionally, spiritually, mentally when you feel like you're carrying everything alone? You become radically honest, into not in a self-hating way, in a deeply truthful way. Leveling up isn't just adding new habits. It's removing what's quietly destroying you. Into what are you tolerating that exhausts your soul? People who only call when they need something. Relationships that never choose you back. Into environments that keep you in survival mode. Patterns in yourself, overgiving, numbing, procrastinating, that are shrinking your life. When you don't have external support, and your honesty becomes your greatest ally, you can't afford self-delusion anymore. You can't keep telling yourself it's not that bad. Your body is fatigued. Your mind spirals. Into your heart feels like it's carrying a boulder. Jung called this shadow work, turning toward the parts of yourself and your life you'd rather not see. Into that's the doorway to real transformation. You level up by facing what you've been avoiding, not all at once, not in one dramatic night, step by step. Here's where I lie to myself. Into here's where I keep returning to what breaks me. Here's where I say yes when everything in me screams no. Loneliness helps here. When people aren't there to distract you, you're left with raw truth. It's painful, but it's powerful because from that clarity, you make new choices. Next, into. You start parenting yourself in a way you may have never been parented. If you feel like you're doing life alone, you probably have been emotionally alone for a long time. Into maybe your caregivers were physically present but emotionally distant. Maybe they were loving but overwhelmed, inconsistent, or drowning in their own pain. Into maybe you were always the strong one, the old soul, the one who didn't get to be held the way you held others. Now, as an adult, every time life gets heavy, into a younger part of you thinks, there's no one to help me. It's all on me. I'm alone. Jung would say those younger parts, your inner child, inner teen, they're still alive in you. Into leveling up when you're alone means showing up for those parts yourself. That might look like talking to yourself with the kindness you'd offer a child. I know this is hard. Into I'm not going to abandon you. We'll figure this out. Creating structure when everything feels chaotic. Small routines. Simple habits, even when no one's holding you accountable. Into letting yourself rest without shame, letting yourself cry without panicking that you're falling apart. You become for yourself the stable presence you never had. Into that's not fake positivity. That's reparenting. And reparenting is a spiritual level up because every time you choose to hold yourself instead of abandon yourself, into you're rewiring the deepest message loneliness ever gave you. I'm alone and no one cares. You're changing it to I may feel alone right now, but I care. I am with me. Into and that matters. From that place, your standards shift. When you know how to emotionally hold yourself, you won't settle for anyone who only half holds you. Into you won't tolerate disrespect just to avoid being alone because your loneliness transformed from there's no one to at the very least there's me. Into that alone will elevate every relationship you allow into your future. Here's something else. Into leveling up when you feel alone means surrendering the idea that everyone has to understand your path. Jung said individuation produces a unique life. Into you're not meant to walk your parents' path, your siblings' path, your friends' path. You're meant to walk yours. So when you change, some people get confused. Some get triggered. Into some feel judged just by your existing. Some try to pull you back, not always from malice, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. Into if you wait for universal understanding before you move, you stay stuck. Leveling up when you're alone looks like taking quiet steps forward while others misinterpret you. Into signing the lease, going back to school, starting the business, going to therapy, leaving what's killing your soul, even if no one claps, even if they whisper. Into even if they say you used to be more like who they preferred. Jung would tell you you're not here to be their old version forever. You're here to become your version of you. Into that often means lonely corridors, hallways between chapters, but those hallways build character, and that character level up. No one can take that from you. Into if you're in that hallway right now between who you were and who you're becoming, like this video, subscribe if you haven't. Into you need something steady to return to when the hallway feels too long. There's one final piece we need to talk about. Into you cannot level up alone if you treat yourself like an enemy. Many people say, I feel like I'm doing life alone, then turn around and bully themselves inside their own head. passion into, they call themselves names, they judge every emotion, they mock their own dreams before anyone else can, they downplay every win. It's not a big deal. Into, imagine a friend trying to build a new life while someone behind them constantly says, "You're pathetic, you're behind. Who do you think you are?" That friend would burn out. Into, some part of you is trying to build a new life with you talking to yourself like that. No wonder you're exhausted. Leveling up when you feel alone means this. Into, you stop joining the chorus of people who didn't believe in you. You stop being your own bully. You might still hear the old thoughts, but you don't let them stand unchallenged. Into, your mind says you're alone because you're not worth loving. You answer, "I'm alone because I'm in transition and I'm learning to love me." Your mind says nothing is changing. Into, you answer, "Everything is changing, even if it's slow. I showed up today. That matters." Your mind says, "What's the point?" You answer, "Into, the point is I refuse to stay asleep in my own life." You become your own teammate instead of another critic. That's a level up no one sees at first. Into, but over time it changes how you walk, how you speak, what you allow, where you go. And slowly, as you keep doing this inner work, even when it feels like you're doing it alone, into, something else begins to happen. You start meeting people you never would have met if you'd stayed where you were, in new communities, in spaces of growth. Into, in places that match who you're becoming, not who you used to be. Souls who've walked their own lonely hallways. Souls who won't ask you to shrink back. Into, souls who recognize depth because they had to earn their own. They might not arrive immediately. Into, but they tend to appear once you've proven to yourself and to life that you'll walk your path, even without an audience. That's the paradox of loneliness in Jungian growth. Into, when you finally accept that your journey is yours, the right companions tend to find you, not to save you, but to walk beside you. If you're still here, into, I want to speak directly to you. You who feels like you're holding your world together with no backup. You who cries quietly after being strong all day. Into, you who is changing in ways the people around you don't understand. You are not crazy for wanting more. You are not dramatic for feeling lonely in rooms full of people. Into, you are not weak for being tired of always being the strong one. You are awakening. You're hearing yourself more loudly than before. Yes, into, awakening often begins in seasons where you feel cut off, misunderstood, alone. But you're not doing this for nothing. Every quiet choice you make to care for yourself, into, to honor your boundaries, to follow your intuition, to keep going when no one claps, that's building a life that fits your soul. One day, into, what feels like doing life alone will reveal itself as learning to do life with myself first. And from that place, everything you build, work, friendships, purpose, into, will have a different quality, less desperation, more truth. If some part of you, even if it's wary and shaking, is whispering, "I am still rising even here, even alone," into, type "rising" in the comments. You're not just writing a word, you're marking this moment as a turning point. And if this message wrapped around your heart today, like this video, into, subscribe, tap the notification bell, because your soul will need to hear this again, and other versions of this, and reminders of who you're becoming. Tonight, when you sleep, into, the loneliness will probably get loud. Everyone else's lights go off. Messages slow down. Old fears circle. You'll always be alone. No one really cares. This is all pointless. Into, don't let those voices write your night. Give your subconscious something kinder, something truer. The playlist is at the end of this video. It'll pop up on your screen. Into, hit play and let it run softly as you drift off. Your body will rest, but your subconscious will keep listening. Keep releasing the belief that you're abandoned. Into, keep strengthening the part of you that knows how to walk even when no one's watching. Save it. Fall asleep with it. Let these messages sink from your mind into your soul, into, until one day you look back on this alone season and realize it was never just about being lonely. It was about becoming the version of you who knows how to rise with or without a crowd. The version who will never again abandon herself on the way.